Well, you went from 2011 to 2014 with these
Like
two.
the beginning of 2014, yeah.
And then at some point in 2014, it stops.
Correct.
She doesn't contact you. She doesn't respond to texts.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. And I would only, like, I think I texted her when she got married or something like that, maybe just to say, congratulations. I'm so happy that you finally got yourself free of this. And, you know, I'm rooting for you. I texted her something like that and to that effect. But of course, no response. And and that is a moment that I would not want her to respond. And also, in all fairness, I don't even know if that was still her phone number. That was the number that I had for her, but you know, it could have not been her phone number as well anymore.
Well, like I said, 2014 was the last time that you saw them.
Sure.
10 years later, 2024, Cassie files a $20 million lawsuit against Diddy.
Correct.
When you heard about that lawsuit, what'd you think?
So I was married at the time, and I heard that the lawsuit happened through one of my other friend's wife. She texted me and was like, "Have you seen this?" Because she, you know, my friend and his wife, they've heard of the story about my situation with them in the past. And so I looked it up, I read through it, and then I went straight to my wife at the time, my ex-wife, and I asked her, I said, listen, this is an opportunity for me to make this right if I can. How would you feel about me reaching out to Cassie's team and telling them, you know, that I'm willing to try to help her, you know, to be a witness, to tell them basically what I've seen. And I reached out. She said, yeah, absolutely, that you should do that. And so I reached out to Cassie's modeling agency, and I gave them some specific details as to like how they used to tell us we need to say black to go up to the room, certain details that only one of us would know. And Cassie, of course, didn't respond. I get a call from her lawyer like the same day. And so they tried to get me to go down there to do an interview the next day, but by then, Diddy had settled.
Yeah, when you heard that Diddy settled like less than 1 day after the lawsuit was filed, everyone went crazy when that happened. Because look, at the end of the day, as someone who's been through a lot of lawsuits, both ways, you know, at this point, settlement does not mean guilt.
Correct.
It just means it's cheaper and less damaging to just pay this person and go about my business and potentially go to court, have it last year's, potentially spend a lot more money and have everything out in the public. But he paid it so quickly that people were like, oh, hey, you know, and the allegations in the lawsuit were crazy.
Yes. So you got to realize he was never banking on the fact that she would throw herself under a bus to hit him. She literally threw herself in front of a bus to get run over by a bus just so that bus could hit him, right? That's how he was looking at it.
Yeah.
And, you know, on top of that, Diddy has a real hardcore ego, bro. You know, people know who this guy is, but that attitude is not a facade. It's real. I was in a room with him once and we were joking around. And you know how back in the day, you'd be like, yo, you stupid, you dumb, I'm gonna call you whatever, something like that. I was like, yo, you the man, bro. I'm about to start calling you Jesus. Just playing around. That was a dumb thing to say first off, but just playing around with him. Yo, Vlad, this man stops in his tracks, stares at me in my eyes, and goes to me, yo, bro, you can't say that to me unless you mean it, bro. I'm dead serious, bro. If you don't mean that, don't say it to me. And I was like, bro, what you talking about? Of course I don't mean that. What are you yo, dude, like his ego's really like that. So in a situation where his ex-girl, who he basically slutted out to, you know, 50, 60, whatever, however many other guys that's involved in this that we don't know, celebrities, people that just randomly met at a club, whatever, right? You know, he's not betting that she's going to be willing to put all of that out there. That was the stupidest thing that he could have done. It was extremely damaging to him, you know, and it didn't matter whether she put it out, he settled in 1 day or if he settled in a year and a half later. The bottom line was he should have never, ever, ever let this information come out. And because of him, there was far too many people that were involved in this that their whole entire lives were going to fall apart. So this is his fault. And everybody's pissed off at him because he had all the money. How hard was it for you to just be like, yo, you asking me for 20, I'm going to give you 30. Because you know what? I know what I did. And we going to call it at that. But we friends from now on to the point where we friends enough at a distance. You good with whatever I'm going on with my life. I'm going to get the help I need, whatever it is. And no one in the world has to know about this. You know how many people's lives got uprooted by this, man?
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a friend about this the other day. If he had just given her a baby, I think all of this would have been fixed.
Yeah.
Here's this baby. I'm going to take care of you and the baby. You're going to be part of my extended family. And all the stuff that happened in the past. Because, you know, from what I understand, the stuff that he was doing with Cassie, he used to do with Kim Porter.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't.
That's what I heard. You know, I don't know that for a fact, and she's passed away, so we'll never know. Mm-hmm. But, you know, but she had, I think, 2 kids by him or 3 kids by him?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Ultimately, they maintained composure overall. Because once Cassie filed the lawsuit, then literally 100 more lawsuits started to hit.
Yeah.
You know, if you saw, you know, me and Tony Busby on Pierce Morgan going at it, where he claimed 100 women were drugged and raped by Diddy.
Yeah.
I wasn't really buying it, but you get these copycat lawsuits.
Yeah. Yo, Vlad, I'm glad you said that, bro, about the 100 people being drugged by Diddy and stuff like that. Listen, by no means am I advocating for, you know, Diddy in any kind of way, man. I can only say from my experience, and it doesn't have anything to do with anyone else's experience. Someone might have had a totally different experience. From my experience, how Diddy goes about giving people drugs is he asks you. He asks you if you want to try this. Do you want to try something this is how it's going to make you feel, whatever. Now, him being a scumbag and giving you something entirely different, or a different amount than, you know, he's telling you he's going to give you, that's a total different situation, right? But, you know, he asked me. He didn't try to drug me with anything that I know of. I know they were trying to say that baby oil was laced. I've never once put baby oil on and started feeling extra, you know,
I didn't believe any of that. Yeah. I didn't believe any of it. Yeah.
And on top of that, you know how many times he would ask me to go to the store to get a bottle of baby oil because they're out of baby oil, bro? I'm dead serious, man. All that damn baby oil he had in it, he still had me going and picking up. And I used to be broke as hell sometimes. Sometimes I'd be like, damn, man, if they don't pay me after this, I just spent, you know, another $8 on damn baby oil. Like, yo, it's crazy, man.
I got you.
It's nuts.